Papua New Guinea today is facing an unprecedented challenges of high inflation, huge unemployment, fuel shortages, keener devaluation, lack of sufficient level of foreign exchange, increased challenges of law and order management, shortage of medical supplies in hospital, health centers, clinic, aid posts throughout the country, continuous power blackouts throughout Papua New Guinea over decades, and ranking of Papua New Guinea as one of the most corrupt countries in the world, listing it within the International Corruption Perception Index 29 out of 100 as one of the most corrupt countries in the world. That is why I cry. Ever since Papua New Guinea gained its independence 50 years ago, it has slowly descended into a slippery slope situation when it is dreaming to become the richest black Christian nation in less than 5 years by 2030. The present coverage and the services by the government departments had badly deteriorated progressively over the last 50 years. Poor management of resources, including human resource, slow and inconsistent economic growth which cannot match the population growth, lack of investment in developing human skill and capacity in government workforce. There is a real need for public servants to have a real sense of purpose by following clearly defined career path which leads to professional working atmosphere where public servants will aptly skill that they can positively and effectively contribute to the nation building. The post-independence development discourse in Papua New Guinea has been about challenges of translating the vast potential of this beautiful country into high standard of living for everyone. The potential for the future prosperity and the hope of the people of Papua New Guinea are presently under a real threat of inefficient, incompetent, and corrupt leadership in both our political leaders and the public servants. Every government sector within the administration sector, economic sector, the social sector are currently in the dire need of the serious needs of resuscitation. All sectors are in intensive care unit. Competent specialist hands are required on deck, so to speak, to bring all government sectors out of the intensive care unit and slowly nurse them. If these challenges are not given serious attention now, then our only way over the next 50 years is to end up in the morgue. The post-independent discourse in Papua New Guinea over the last 50 years has been about the challenges of transiting the vast majority of this beautiful, God-blessed country into improving the standard of living for everyone. The potential for the future prosperity and the hope of our people of this country are under a real threat of inefficient, incompetent, and corrupt leadership. Papua New Guinea, by comparison with many developing countries in our region and around the world, is exceptionally richly endowed with both renewable and non-renewable resources. However, since independence, we have not so far used the proceeds from this rich endowment to lay down strong building blocks for the sustainable future development of our children and our grandchildren. Government after government over the last 50 years have been making the same mistakes. These governments have been throwing huge amount of money just nilly-willy into various projects and have mistakenly hoping that money alone will salvage the entire development challenges. This, of course, will not happen, as is the sad case over the last 50 years, in which billions of kina has been squandered, leaving behind no visible, tangible building behind for our children and our grandchildren to cope with going into the future. It is not the absence of wealth that we are suffering from in Papua New Guinea, but clearly it is the absence of competent, effective leadership management of that wealth that we are suffering from. We must never allow ourselves to underestimate the linkage between good, competent, uncorruptible leadership and management and the well-being of our people. Good, uncorruptible leadership and management are not something that we can hold up as a vague notion or a distant goal. It is something that is essential. It is something that is non-negotiable. It is something that we must doggedly pursue regardless of personal costs, regardless of barriers, and regardless of setbacks, regardless of difficulties and frustration. For without good, uncorruptible leadership and management, our people will continue to suffer as they have been over the last 50 years. It says in the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 2, and it is inscribed at the front pinnacle entrance into our Parliament House in Waigani, and I quote, "When the wicked rule, people suffer. When the just rule, people rejoice," end of quote. In foreign unproductive debts as we are presently doing, all our important physical infrastructure will not be properly maintained. Our capacity to provide the much needed basic services to the bulk of our people will be depleted. Without good and competent leadership, children will not receive the quality education they are entitled to. Fathers cannot find employment and cannot support their families. Without strong leadership and management, opportunity to grow our economy and attract foreign investment will be limited. Without strong leadership and management, we lose support of our development partners and we lose the confidence of our financial lenders. Without good leadership and management, we waste the very money that should be used to strengthen the infrastructure and program essential to achieve the aspiration of our people. According to the United Nations rating, Papua New Guinea ranks among the lowest or even worse in Human Development Index. Our child and maternal mortality rates remain very high. The very sad thing is that high mortality rates occur mainly from preventable diseases. Our life expectancy rate is low, around mid-60s. Our literacy rate is low, with many of our children lacking access to good quality education. Close to half of our population are living in stolid poverty. Basic government services have deteriorated to such a state that they can no longer provide the basic services that they are supposed to provide. Schools, aid posts, health centers, roads, bridges, airstrip maintenance, police and prison services, and general national and provincial administration have all but broken down. I see poorly educated children. I see seriously run down public buildings. I see news headlines every day about fraud and corruption within our society. In urban centers, I see the social effect of poverty expressed in terms of squalid living in squalid settlements in which crimes and violence readily breeds. So how can a nation of people so richly blessed with such wealth and natural resource suffer in the way so many of our people do as we are entering 50 years of our independence? Where is the wealth that we are so richly blessed with going to? Clearly, much of the people's natural wealth has not filtered into the people in terms of social services. It is not the absence of wealth in Papua New Guinea that we suffer, but again, it is the absence of competent leadership management of that wealth that we suffer. We must never allow ourselves to underestimate the linkages between good, competent leadership and the well-being of our country. Good, uncorruptible leadership management is not something we can hold up as some vague notion or a distant goal. It is something that is essential. It is something that we must doggedly pursue regardless of personal cost. So to me, good, unaccountable leadership and management is not an option. It is absolutely a necessity we must ardently pursue. Our founding fathers 50 years ago have searched high and low. They have searched domestically and they have searched internationally. They have searched in the oracles of our ancestors and they have searched in the chronicles of the established nations to establish the best way forward for Papua New Guinea so that they can give their all for. Our founding fathers also wanted people of Papua New Guinea to be holistically strong, to be equal and fully participating in our nation's development, to be proud and patriotic in their national identity, to be self-reliant, to be environmentally conscious, to be respectful, to be appreciative, and wherever possible to adopt Papua New Guinea ways and incorporate them into modern ways. The visions were incorporated into Papua New Guinea's constitution, which then gave a legal framework for the birth of a new nation to be known as Papua New Guinea. The Constitutional Committee recommendations were incorporated into national goals and directive principles, which were mostly aspirational. That was then their vision. This would have practical relevance to the people of this country only if they are being used and are practically applied to the decision-making process. And that's where we are here today. 2, quality and participation for everyone. 3, enhancement of the national sovereignty and self-reliance. 4, responsible management and the use of national resources sustainably. 5, sharing resources in Papua New Guinea ways for the benefit of all clans, all tribes, and all communities, rather than for individual benefits. These sets of goals were to be the key pillars upon which the respective governments over the last 50 years were expected to deliver Papua New Guinea from the subsistence economy to modern cash economy. The vehicle to deliver the outcome of these goals were to be done through plans and strategies. Since independence in 1975, respective governments have embarked on 7 5-year development strategic plans leading up to 2009, covering a period of 35 years. In my entire 20 years in Parliament, I have never seen or heard any reports from any planning ministers to Cabinet or to Parliament as to what has been achieved by those plans. In 2009, Grand Chief, the late Sir Michael Somare, launched Development Strategic Plan 2010-2030, leading to Vision 2050. The aim was to facilitate entrepreneurial enterprises in both. 15 years of this plan has already gone past, with 5 years remaining, and no one in government has provided any statistics to show us that we have achieved our planned target of creating 2 million jobs by 2030. Secondly, the National Strategic Development Plan 2010-2030 was to set up those necessary building foundations to ensure that by 2050 Papua New Guinea will be smart, will be wise, will be fair, and will be a happy society. Also by 2050 Papua New Guinea will be ranked in the top 50 countries in the world in the United Nations Development Index in creating opportunity for the personal and national development. However, at present, going by the World Human Development Index, Papua New Guinea is ranking 154 out of 193 countries around the world, which is placing Papua New Guinea in the bottom as the 39th least developed country in the world. Papua New Guinea's various development indicators at present are clearly showing that overall our social and economic indicators are really miserable and are sitting at the bottom in line with the low-income poverty-ridden countries. Papua New Guinea's development performance indicators over the last 50 years are progressively getting worse. Economic growth is insufficient to impact each household. Poor performance on social indicators compared with other Pacific Island countries. Absence of quality planning data and monitoring framework to accurately measure planning's outcomes. Development plans not results and not well implemented. Lack of discipline in overspending, unproductive spending, and not adhering to planned priorities. Relying too much on unrenewable resources. Poor governance and corruption hampering Papua New Guinea's development, which is leading to very serious disciplines in basic government services. The present coverage and service by the government departments has badly deteriorated progressively over the last 50 years. Poor management of resources, including human resource, slow and inconsistent economic growth, and the lack of targeted investment in developing human skills and capacity in the government workforce. There is a real need for the public servants to have a real sense of purpose by following clear, well-defined career path which leads to creating professional working atmosphere where public servants are so ably skilled that they can positively contribute to the nation building. Our biggest challenge we are facing today is corruption. It is a cancer eating away at the fabric of our society, demands our immediate attention. We must stand together, are united in combating this insidious disease, ensuring future integrity and the bearing of our accountability. Corruption in its many forms, from petty bribery to the large-scale embezzlement, undermines our progress, erodes our trust, and steals our future potential. It is the thief in the night, the saboteur of development, the silent oppressor of our poor people. The money meant for our school, our hospital, our infrastructure is diverted into the pockets of a few, leaving our communities struggling to survive. We see effect of corruption every day. Roads crumble, hospital, health center, clinics, aid posts lack resources, and our children are denied quality education. The very foundation of our society is weakened, leaving us vulnerable to instability and despair. But we are not powerless. We have the power to choose a different path of integrity and accountability. We must demand transparency from our leaders, Hold them accountable for their action and refuse to tolerate corruption in any forms. You have a unique opportunity to lead by example. You must begin your career by fostering culture of honesty and ethical behavior. Report instances of corruption not out of fear, but out of commitment for a better future for Papua New Guinea. Let us support organizations that fight corruption, and let us educate our children about the importance of integrity. The fight against corruption is our collective responsibility. It is our duty to stand up, to speak out, and to demand change. Let us set our target today to make Papua New Guinea a beacon of hope, a place where integrity and accountability are not just words, but a normal way of life. Let us choose to be agents of change for a better Papua New Guinea. Once again, let me congratulate you all in your significant milestones. Your journey of learning, of growth, and of dedication has culminated in this moment. Embrace the future with knowledge and the skills you have gained. And remember the importance of ethical leadership and commitment to make positive impact on our beautiful country. You have acquired valuable knowledge and skill in business and public policy. Remember to apply these tools with integrity and commitment to ethical leadership. Our community is very much in need of your talents and your vision. Use your education to make a difference, whether it is in driving economic growth, shaping policy, or serving your country. The path ahead will have its challenges, but remember the resilience and the determinations that brought you to this moment. Embrace your journey, stay curious, and never stop learning. Your contribution to business and public policy will help save the future. Use your skill, use your knowledge to build a more sustainable, equitable, and prosperous country for all. I wish you all the best in your endeavors. May your future career be fulfilling and your impact be positive in the future development of our beautiful country. God bless you all.